Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Group Chat, #1 podcast in the world. We are recording Wednesday today, a little bit of conflict of schedule. So we are back at it. We are talking a lot of things. We're talking the continued inflationary pressure. We're talking about Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve.
And his vacation.
At the biggest boondoggle in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Most companies are cutting off the offsite. Our federal government has decided to go fly fishing in Wyoming.
Ramp it up.
Ramp it up. Ramp up spending.
Yep.
And so much more. And we have a couple shout outs, so we'll get to that today. Let's get into the episode.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, Group Chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another episode of Group Chat. We didn't get a chance to record on Tuesday because busy. I was traveling. So we're recording Wednesday morning. We pull into the office just now. There's an interesting thing happening right outside of our office right now.
Yeah.
There's a gentleman that has chosen not to wear clothes.
Fully naked.
Standing
at the light.
Minding his own business, to be fair.
In front of our office.
Right in front of our office. I don't know if this is a new style. I don't know if this is... It's pretty wild. I saw these two women walking, right? They're about to walk right by. And I was like, kind of like, gave him a little look of concern, like, hey, be careful. Like, I don't know what's happening over here.
Right.
But it's interesting. I was speaking to, I had a meeting with some guys from London yesterday, and, they made a comment about homelessness and crime in LA. And then I made a comment about, you're probably going to freeze to death because you won't be able to afford
I think UK is fine. It's more like Germany.
No, I mean, they're trying to cap it. But even in the UK, the people I spoke to, one of the guys told me his power bill right now, last year was £500 a month. And he believes that it'll probably double going into next year. And then if you look at Germany, I think Spain is actually fine. And I think Italy is also in a bad place. But no matter where you are in the world today, you're facing some sort of like existential crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's, there's a thing, I was reading about a person that's like a Civil War expert, and they said like all of the kind of characteristics and behavior of the Civil War in the 1800s is very similar to what we're seeing today.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of people that have come out and said that, the current climate of America specifically, we know America the best.
Yeah, I don't know what the rest of the world's going on.
And these are like the leading indicators to some sort of civil strife. I've been calling for this for 3 years. Not calling for it, but predicting it. That there's now, I mean, we had people storm the Capitol. That's effectively it's
a coup.
An element.
Coup-esque.
It's an element of a civil war.
Yeah.
And if you see the candidates that are being elected across the country, the rhetoric is crazy.
Yeah. Well, both sides.
Sure, but one side's racially charged.
Yeah.
The other side's woke charged.
Yeah. I don't think they're racially charged because there are people from other races in those groups too.
Mm-hmm.
I think they are very much like, this is the way of life and we want everyone to kind of live it.
I don't know. There's a candidate in Oklahoma, that Carrie Lake, who's part of the Trump tree. And I believe Peter Thiel's backing her too. She's supporting a candidate that is like very blatantly anti-Semite.
Yeah.
He's very vocal about it.
That's crazy. With all that being said, in 2.5 weeks, NFL season starts. And I think civil war is averted.
Yes, the NFL can save
How many
us.
people, maybe 80, 90 million people pay attention to the NFL?
Easily. Yeah.
Think about it. That many less angry people.
Yeah, I think the NFL is in a great place. Tom Brady decided to show back up
Thank
at camp.
God. That'd be bad for
There was
America.
rumors he might not.
He just didn't want to go through it. It's painful. Have you seen how difficult going through training camp is in these places.
But guys like him don't have to do anything.
It's still
Like
show
Aaron
up.
Rodgers even says, like, I'm not playing in the preseason game.
That's fine, but to even show up and I mean, the guy's practicing. The guy's in shape. He's not. It's hot. Like, he doesn't want to deal with that nonsense.
Yeah.
Can't imagine what it's like in Tampa Bay in the summer. Boiling, probably.
Yeah. This NFL. So we just got to get through Labor Day.
Yeah,
It's
as
the
long as there's
Thursday
no
after
problems
Labor
through
Day.
Labor Day, I think America's on
And
the
college
up.
football. Don't forget, college football is pretty damn big.
Yeah,
And that's
this weekend,
yeah.
the first game. Yeah, maybe we're gonna be fine.
Yeah. USC starts the weekend after.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
home
look,
opener.
as long as if I was president of the United States, my first order of the business, I would make football has to be year round. Like different leagues, the college football and NFL should not be during the same time.
Yeah, they should split it up. I agree with that.
That solves 9 months of our divisiveness.
Because I know people in LA and big cities don't realize how big college football is around the country.
It's
Like if you
biggest.
go to the South, you go to Alabama, you go to Georgia,
I
go
think
to LSU,
anywhere outside of
Louis-
LA and New York City.
Yeah, it's insane.
And by the way, I think this year in LA, every game will be sold out too.
USC will be very Hollywood this year.
Yeah,
The
and I
celebs
think,
are coming back.
yeah, and I also think it'll just be packed with people, which will get people renewed interest.
Right.
I mean, I think the interesting thing is just seeing like all of the, like, if you read, I was talking to someone who listened to the podcast and he's like, man, you guys are talking about recession and stressing me out. And now we're talking about civil war. I think like so many of the problems we have are actually unavoidable. Obviously there's macro things that like we as just citizens have no control over. Like inflation is really not in the hands of the citizens, but like temperament and mood is. And so I think, I'm hopeful that I think the economic pressures on every single person is driving another sense of like urgency of action, because how long will you be able to stomach these food prices? How long will you be able to stomach these gas prices? How long will we be able to stomach, potential job losses? I was reading a statistic that said over 50% of employers expect to cut staff.
Mm-hmm.
That means we have not even started the layoff
Yeah,
process.
that's what the Fed wants. They
Yeah.
made it very clear. The labor market's too tight. And that's what the whole point of raising interest rates was.
Yeah.
Start putting downward pressure on companies to lay off people so wages go down.
Yeah. And I think the other thing I don't understand is, so the Federal Reserve has a meeting this week.
Yeah, in Jackson Hole.
I mean, who's paying for this?
I
They get to
agree.
go to Jackson Hole.
Jackson
Hole's
Hole's very expensive.
It's especially in the summer,
Mm-hmm.
like peak summer. I mean, I understand if you go to Jackson Hole after Labor Day, I'm sure the prices are cheaper.
Yeah.
You're going the week before Labor Day? What is it? Is it what a boondoggle this is? And then we have to sit here and wait while they, go.
Why can't they Zoom and save us taxpayers' money?
It's millions of dollars to do this event.
Millions. The security
Yeah.
in of itself, staffers.
Yeah.
What hotel are they? Where are they doing it?
Yeah. What kind of
Are they
offsite is
going
this?
to Amman?
No, I mean, they probably rented houses and, oh my God, how much people are there? So what? They have a 1 hour meeting and then they,
Tank the market.
yeah.
So we're going to spend millions
Yeah.
to have them host, and then trillions they're going to cost us.
Yeah, when it's these types of things, which our friend Kevin, who listens to the podcast, when we talk about like distrust of institution, the economy is struggling. The Federal Reserve is arguably the most important person in this process. And wouldn't have been responsible and said, you know what? Jackson Hole is not the time. We need to hunker down back in DC. And we want to make sure the American people, that we're thinking about the American people.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how important that signals to the average person that like this guy's going to show up in a vest from his hunting and his spa and then tank the markets?
Yeah, it's taking place at the Jackson Lake Lodge, a resort located in the Grand Teton National Park.
Yeah. I mean, come on, guys. What are you doing? You could have skipped Jackson Hole this year.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially given like just what that signals. I just think that like in times like this, whether it's companies, the government, or just individuals, you have to show some like fiscal responsibility. Not even if you don't even need to show it because you're so rich, whether your company's so rich or you personally are rich, it's just signaling.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, how Microsoft is cutting basically offsite activities.
Yeah.
So Microsoft's not going to reimburse managers who want to take their employees out.
Yeah.
So they basically told the whole company, and this is a company that's sitting on $100 billion in cash and $100 billion of EBITDA.
Yeah.
And they said, tighten your belt.
Because it's signaling, and it's the story that you're telling the outside.
And the Federal Reserve is going
the
on
Federal
vacation.
Reserve is saying offsite. Guess what? We're in the Grand Tetons enjoying the most expensive week of the entire year.
Let me tell you who's in Wyoming and Montana in the summer. Really rich people that are spending crazy amounts of money.
Yeah. And Jay Powell out there. So disgusting. I think this is where like I just have a fundamental problem with the way we allocate money as a country. It's a joke.
Yeah, the moment you peel like a layer back on any of these things, you find out how ridiculous it is.
Yeah. Whether it's even on the local level, the state level, the federal level, we've seen movies that are mimicking the spending of the military that shows the wastefulness. And maybe some of it's hyperbole and it's not all accurate, but there's so much waste. And then when you see we're sending a casual few $1 billion, it feels like every week to Ukraine, right? Like I just see a headline, $3 billion arm package, $900 million fuel package. Like we're clearly...
And we can't even buy
poor guy down the street doesn't have clothes in our own neighborhood, doesn't have clothes.
That might be self-imposed, but...
it could be, a series of things that led him down that path.
Right.
All right, well, let's... move on to some good news. Home prices fell for the first time in, I don't know how many years, 3 years. And it was a modest decline, but everyone is saying it's huge. I think it was like a 0.76% month over month decline.
But that's month over month, which means like last month.
Yeah.
Because median home prices year over year is still up 8%.
Yeah. Year over year, we're still high. There seems to be the Toll Brothers, which is one of the largest.
Brian and Jeff.
Too bad they're not related. They're one of the largest kind of residential real estate companies in America. Have said new home sales have completely plummeted. New home construction starts have completely stopped. They are playing it very, very conservative. The irony is we actually need housing more so than ever across the country. These people don't have the confidence to go out and build anymore because they don't think there's any demand. It's another
the dynamic is home prices are going to continue to go up because supply is going to fall off a cliff.
Yeah. And now these people have no confidence to go out and build, which will cause,
I was talking to one of my best friends who's involved in a lot of multifamily real estate. And he says it's complete chaos because the rate changes have repriced every new project and lenders are panicking.
Yeah.
Developers are panicking because if you started a building a year ago and you need more lending, your cost is gone up through the roof because of rates. And the margins that real estate developers work on are so low that even a couple point change makes a project not worth economically to do. And he was telling me that it's complete chaos right now on new development nationally because of the rates. So
I'll give you an example. In January 2021, someone put out a statistic, and obviously this is every situation is different. Credit score, everything is dependent on many factors. But to give an example, that a 30-year mortgage rate for this particular person could have been 2.65%. An average new home price in the U.S. was $400,000. Today, it's 5.65%, and the average new home price is $546,000. Assuming a 20% down payment, that's a 95% increase in monthly payment from $1,294 a month to $2,500 And obviously the down payment was substantially higher. This did not include property taxes, insurance, utilities, repair, maintenances, obviously have increased. And I think that affordability is such a big part of housing, like the affordability index. I think it's going to be increasingly challenging to house. Like, I want to understand the housing problem. Is it this pure just demand because I want a new home? Or is it I don't have a place to live and I need a home? That's what's driving the demand for housing? Is it just like, honey, let's just get a new house?
Well, I think isn't it fueled by such a massive economic boom and low interest rates of the last 2 years? So everyone had more cash.
Yeah, but even now, right? There's still like the prices of homes are not dropping. That means there's still enough demand.
I also wonder, why is everyone so anxious to move?
It's the same thing when I didn't understand why everyone was so anxious to get a new car.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's nothing wrong with an old car.
I mean, I lived in the same apartment building for 14 years.
Yeah.
I'm part of the solution.
Very patient. But I think it's fascinating that, like, I think it's very unique to America over consumption, whether it's housing, whether it's just discretionary spend. Because even I was talking to some retailers, and I think I mentioned this last week, they saw a slight uptick in August already on retail spending because gas prices are lower. It's instant. Like, if, week by week on Friday, if let's say you had $5 in your bank account last Friday, and this week you have 50, you're spending.
Yeah, I think the home price thing is, like you said, unique to America. It's the romanticism of having your dream home.
Yeah.
The white picket fence.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to own a home. What is the first thing every adult, when they get in their late 20s and they finally have some economic kind of freedom, they go buy a home?
Yeah. And look, historically speaking, owning a home was the biggest wealth creator for Americans. For average Americans, it was definitely the biggest. Like, what's the most valuable thing most Americans own? It's a home.
Because the massive real estate boom the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
So like trillions of dollars was created in wealth. Yeah. But like, if you assume the S&P compounds the same way the last 30, 40 years, which is about 8-9% annually, do you think you can beat the S&P owning a home?
No way.
So the S&P over the last 30 years is about 8% annual appreciation, and the average home is about 4 to 5% historically. So the S&P still beats
double
owning a house.
Yeah, and I think what there was I think an article in the Wall Street Journal yesterday talking about 30% of homeowners immediately have regrets over what, and then you read it, it's like they spent too much money. And what you realize is you've effectively put a down payment for your dream home, but to cost to furnish and then maintain that dream home and then pay insurance, and God forbid something happens, like, so much of your capital as a homeowner is tied up in owning your home. And I think it is, look, over a long period of time, it's great. It's shown that it does appreciate and it's an asset that's worth owning. And there's the tax benefits that obviously I understand. And I think for a lot of people that have salaried jobs, it makes sense. The tax benefits of writing off the interest, I get it. It makes a lot of sense. But for pure return and liquidity's sake, S&P is great.
And you could tell that how much people are kind of pushed to the max economically and financially to buy a house. Because if you look at like the mid-tier homes, they get outbid like a $700,000-$800,000 home. So a lot of times, like, oh, someone bid $20K over, I couldn't do it. So you're buying a $700,000 home, but if you can't put that extra $20,000, it means you literally put all your capital in.
Yeah,
and that's a tough place to be, because in a downturn, and depending on your mortgage rate, like, who knows what you're signing.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think a lot of people do have fixed interest rates and their payments are manageable. I think it's just for net new people coming into the race. So if you're like late 20s and you want to buy your first home, I think you have to, like, also understand what that means, like, why are you doing it and what's your kind of goal out of it? Everyone's goals are different. But if it's just purely to appreciate wealth, clearly S&P seems to have done fine.
Warren's done just fine.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, I guess there's just although the traditional homeowner people will give me 10 reasons why you should own a home.
Yeah, there's emotional reasons. It's your home. You get to design it the way you want. You can. It's where your kids grow up. Nostalgia, history, all that. I get all that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
but a lot of people just push themselves to the brink just for the purposes of buying a home.
Yeah, true. So home prices haven't really changed, even though everyone says it dropped today.
It's the pace of homes have slowed.
Yes.
So people aren't buying homes as quickly. Maybe everyone got to the house they wanted to.
Everyone's living in their dream home. So home sales have plummeted. You must all love where you live now, because all of a sudden you don't want to move. U.S. new vehicle prices are expected to hit a record high in August on the back of strong demand despite rising interest rates. So if I am Jay Powell sitting in Jackson Hole, Wyoming,
drinking
a Pinot, and he sees average transaction prices are set to reach a record of $46,000. That's the average car. That is insane.
That's driven by inflation of components, right?
Sure, but I think demand is driving it also. 11.5% increase from a year early. 11.5% in cars. That's nuts. That means, and by the way, there's a retail sales of new vehicles decreased from a year earlier, down 2.6%. So there's still pretty strong demand. Prices are not dropping.
And there's not an inventory glut either. They're still claiming that they don't have enough cars.
So, I mean, if I'm Jerome Powell and I read this, I see the home sales are still, prices are still rising. He's got to raise interest rates so aggressively. We are not feeling enough pain. We need you, if you still are confident to go buy a new car and go buy a new house, that means inflation is still out of control.
And we're going to see the rent number is going to be insanity.
Yeah. So even though we're seeing dips in crude oil, dips in food prices, this is a problem. And there's clearly wage inflation. People are making more money. Whether you like it or not, you want to hear that? The data will show higher wage growth.
Yeah, but there's so many mixed messages because the next topic is how companies are slowing spending. So, you can, like we joke that you can find the narrative you want.
Yeah.
In everything. And
the problem is like housing is so big.
Yeah, housing is like 35% of the CPI.
Okay, so I mean that's probably the most weighted thing, and that is on a tear still.
Or rent specifically is like 35% of the CPI.
Well, there you go. I mean, there's no way anyone got a lower rent anywhere.
No, absolutely not. But yeah, the companies are slowing factory equipment, computers, washing machines, consumers as well. So, I mean, they're slowing spending in some parts, maybe because they have to pay more rent and interest rates are higher. So, I mean, I think the essentials are always going to have enough demand and you cut other places, right?
Yeah.
Like we talked about, restaurant reservations are massively down.
Yeah.
It's probably because
someone made a comment that in New York, all the best restaurants are on Resi. So that could be but that's still the hot restaurants.
Yeah, that's not the average.
Yeah.
We're talking like a mid-tier restaurant.
Yeah. Mid-tier restaurants are all on Open Table.
Yeah. Like, sure. Like, I don't know, Per Se is probably on Resi in New York City.
Yeah.
Or it's not even on a reservation.
Yeah. I do, and talk about funniness. I just got a notification on my phone from Robinhood, and it's read about fly fishing in Jackson Hole.
Yeah,
that's what they're doing. They're fly fishing.
For sure they're doing. They're definitely having activities. It's their first in person since 2019.
Yeah.
They're going to let it rip.
That's insane. So purchasing managers from S&P 500 companies are saying they are being more cautious with their spend, but the data doesn't show that. because overall orders for durable goods, which include factory equipment, computers, and washing machine, increased 9 of the past 12 months through July. So, I'm sure inflation has a lot to do with that. Things just cost more, and the quantum of units they're buying is less. But the thing is everyone's like still saying we're cautious because there might be a recession. There might be. Most of these people don't believe we're in one. And the Atlanta Fed says looks like Q3 will be negative GDP as well.
So that's 3 straight quarters.
3 straight quarters. At what point is it a recession? 50? 50 quarters?
At what point it's post midterms?
When everyone on the street is walking naked, does that make it a recession, or just only one person does not?
Yeah.
I mean, it's wild. And then today, Biden canceled $10,000 in federal student loan debt for most borrowers. So I think you have to be earning less than $120,000 a year. And then he also canceled up to $20,000 for recipients of Pell Grants. The problem I have, so it's the relief will be limited to Americans earning under $125,000 per year, or $250,000 for married couples or heads of households. I don't think you should limit it. Like, if you're going to go and do it, like, you're going to punish the kid that just crushed college and got a job at McKinsey making $150 base. Why can't that person get some relief?
Yeah, or at least you have to tier it.
Yeah.
You can't just, if you make 130,000, you get 0, and you make 120,000, you get 10K off.
Yeah. That doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense.
And I mean, not like you should reward everyone who had to go through that process. And cost of living in each of these cities is substantially different.
Mm-hmm.
Like a kid who makes 125 in New York City
is struggling.
Yeah.
And it sounds ridiculous for us to say, but that's the truth.
Yeah.
It's $4K a month minimum rent.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's
half your salary post-tax, 125,000. Let's say you walk away with 70K.
Yeah.
Right? 65K, probably something around that.
So, like, let's say
you're spending
6K a month you make net.
And your 4K is going to rent.
Yeah. You got 2 G's to maybe go out a couple nights. You ain't hitting Avenue with 2K.
You're
extra
going to Murray Hill for the
You're getting happy hour.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
And if you have student debt, that's you have no money.
Yeah. And now that person still has to pay their student loan off.
Yeah.
Larry Summers, the whole old Secretary Treasury, came out and said, this is not good for inflation.
It's true.
Yeah.
Because 15 million borrowers of student with student debt now have 0 after the 10K.
Yeah.
15 million people just came up on 10 grand. What are they going to do?
Well, no, I mean, there's canceling.
They freed up 10 grand.
Yeah,
what are they going to do? They're going to spend it.
Yeah.
We know Americans.
And the more and more I've been listening to a lot of these economist podcasts around the 80s and inflation, and we've talked about Volcker. Like, I think we're at that point. I don't think it's going to fix itself. I don't think inflation is going to fix itself. I think it's really, really bad, and that we have to keep raising interest rates.
Yeah, I mean, Paul, I was watching randomly, I came across a YouTube with Ray Dalio interviewing Paul Volcker, and they talk about what he had to do in the 80s. And like, it was really unpopular in the short term, but the economy started to boom after he raised interest rates to 20%.
Oof. Can you imagine? The whole town's gonna be naked.
Oh, God.
Who can afford clothes then? 20% interest rate.
Mm-hmm.
You can't buy anything. You can't finance anything.
No, you can't. I mean, home prices will go down at that point.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's scary. All right, well, let's move on. Some positive news. Everyone's favorite bike that goes nowhere, Peloton, is finally diversifying their sales channels. So the stock is up, right? Like, probably the biggest it's been in a long while, just because they announced that they will now start selling their bike and apparel through Amazon. So, I mean, this is the age-old problem with the direct-to-consumer businesses. The really great direct-to-consumer businesses diversified where they sell their product. They have their website, accounts for a certain percentage of it. They have a wholesale business that accounts for a certain percentage. And then they sell the marketplaces. They sell Amazon, they sell Walmart. The direct-to-consumer brands, that era at least, the Peloton era, they were so convinced that they're the only ones that can give their customer this experience, and that they would rather buy on their site, and they want to control the entire experience for their customer. The reality is the customer doesn't give a shit. You have to go where the customers are. And that's what Peloton is finally saying is the customers are at Amazon. The customers are at Costco. Like Peloton should strike a deal to sell at Costco, Walmart, Target, everywhere. And I know they're a premium brand, they're a luxury brand, but like if there is interest from the retailer, here's the biggest challenge with brands. Every brand thinks they are better than what they actually are. And it doesn't matter where you sell your product at the end of the day. You just should be trying to reach as many customers as possible. The only people I would argue where distribution truly is a reflection of brand is at luxury, like true luxury. You know, you're talking, you know, the Dior's, the Balenciagas, those types of people. And even they, when you look at like their fragrance, you can get like, pick your luxury brand fragrance anywhere. You can get them at Macy's. You can find them at weird fragrance stores all over New York City and LA, discounted, Chanel No. 5, whatever you want. These people know how to diversify their channels. It is so, so important. But everyone with the venture money was like, no, we have to control the box they open it. Guess what? No one gives a shit about your packaging.
Yeah, I think
they don't.
I think Peloton has finally realized they're not differentiated like any other regular consumer good.
Yeah.
You have to sell everywhere. Amazon obviously reaches the most people. It's going to eat into their margins selling to Amazon.
But I think they're spending so much marketing dollars.
So when your point to luxury, did you ever listen to that Business Breakdowns about Louis Vuitton?
Yeah.
So one of the unique traits of LVMH brands, it's very limited wholesale.
Yeah.
Because their brands are actually differentiated.
Yeah.
People want to go to the Louis Vuitton store, Laura Piana and all their brands.
Yeah.
Like there's experience about it. That is so hard to master.
And by the way, we're talking about brands that are 100+ years old.
Right.
Right. It doesn't happen overnight. Like LVMH's portfolio of brands, I would love to see how many of them were launched in the last 20 years. I mean, I don't know if any.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think that ultimately is what takes time, is that brands take so long to build and connect with consumers.
But with, Peloton was effectively venture backed or like high growth backed investors.
Yeah.
They want to grow quickly.
Yeah.
They want to get you to $1 billion immediately. You don't have time to build a brand.
I know, but forget that.
But they sold the story to Wall Street.
No, but they could have built it faster through wholesale. It was a coveted brand. I don't think
it was. But if you sell through wholesale, you don't get a tech multiple.
Yeah. Which is stupid. It's more profitable than selling direct to consumer.
But everyone wants to believe they're building the next, great brand that consumers will overpay for and, keep spending money.
Yeah.
And there's a limited, for 99% of brands, that's like a very small niche.
Yeah.
That are that loyal to a brand.
Yeah. And the thing is these businesses work at a very certain scale. Like if Peloton was a $500 million a year business, run profitably, it would be an insane business, but it's not worth $10 billion.
So Supreme's what, 30 years old? Something like that?
Yeah, probably.
Are they still hot? I don't see them as much.
No, so you're in your little bubble that you're walking around. Yeah, maybe the coolest of the cool are not wearing it, but I bet you their sales are up. Their distribution's getting bigger. I still see a line on Thursdays on Fairfax.
But isn't it crazy that in the bubble, Louis Vuitton and all these brands that do tens of billions of dollars are still worn in the cool circles?
And I guarantee you Supreme is too, and it's the right pieces, right? It's not like I don't think it's as coveted where like every single person is wearing Supreme every time they leave their house, like which is what it was at one point. But I guarantee you every kind of hype kid still has Supreme in his closet, he or she, and it's a part of their like flex outfit. There's no doubt in my mind that that's still happening. I mean, they just announced their second collaboration with Rolex. That thing's going to come out. I think it's like 20 watches.
Mhm.
You know, they do an incredible job of still staying relevant. They have the Tiffany collab. You know, like I think they'll be fine. I think they have
But that's a unicorn.
Yeah.
What other brand that's been created in the last 30 years has a shot like Supreme does to be around for the next 30?
at that scale,
Mhm.
billions of dollars of revenue. Yeah, there's not one today.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. That's why it's the strategy is, if you want to be in luxury, in my opinion, go find something that's been around 100 years, and that has some brand recognition. It's cheaper to buy it than
that's
recreate
what LVMH. That was the genius of Bernard
Yeah,
Arnault.
yeah.
He just went and bought these companies.
Yeah. It's too hard to recreate 100 years of history and brand awareness. Pretty interesting. So one of the hottest apps in the world right now is Be Real. And we talked about it a few months ago. And basically what Be Real is a photo app. And it pings you randomly throughout the day, once a day, and says, post a picture. And the idea was that it's, how long do you have to post? A minute? 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
2 minutes, because they want you to kind of show your real life. Like, what are you doing right this second? It's caught absolute fire. And I think they have 10 million daily active users now. Top app on the App Store.
Yep.
Instagram is testing a new feature internally that copies Be Real. I love it. Why are you waiting? Like, you blew it on Rails. It should have been launched.
I don't think they should test it. They should just buy it and keep it independent.
I think they should buy it and shut it down.
No, I think it's clearly resonating with Gen Z. Everyone your age group, right? Jordan Ari is using Be Real, right?
Yeah.
So
But
you need to capture them. They've already got us.
There's no way they're going to be allowed to buy this. No chance.
I know. It's small enough now that they can.
No, it's raising over $1 billion already. It's a multi-billion-dollar purchase. There's no way. By the way, they're not even an American company. I think they're French.
Yeah, they are French.
Okay. So in the interest of America, we should buy this French company.
Yeah, I mean, we have Chinese spyware freely roaming America right now and TikTok, but we won't let Instagram have a competitor to compete with Chinese spyware.
Yeah. French spyware.
Sure. Aren't we? We're allies with France. We're not allies with China.
Yeah. But to be fair, I think Instagram launching it is a great fucking idea. Because we know they just have the scale. Look, if 10 million people use Be Real right now, let's say, daily. If Instagram launched it tomorrow, how many people are using it? 100 million?
Sure, but I've lost complete faith in Instagram as a product because...
But you're on it 30 times a day.
Yeah, but these kids aren't.
Yes,
I'm
they
old.
are. I guarantee you, if I could track every kid's, how many times they launched that app.
But I'll tell you, the difference between now, it's almost like habit, like Facebook used to. Now I don't even launch the Facebook app.
Yeah.
I don't even enjoy it. I do still go on it all day. And I'm like, I never leave the app satisfied. Like, oh, that was cool. I saw that. Because I don't get fed anything.
Yeah.
I just get fed random shit that they want to shove down my throat and then shove me a carbless tortilla ad. That's what
you get?
Yeah.
That's weird. I don't get those.
I went and bought the hero bread, and now my entire ads are just carbless snacks, carbless.
You shouldn't buy anything. That's why I don't get served those ads. I haven't bought anything in so long. I get no ads.
Yeah, I got suckered into a few purchases.
But yeah, that's super interesting because...
And I think the Instagram brand, unfortunately, is just for the youth. It's just reeks of old, the way Instagram users, when we were Instagram users, thought of Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're Gen Z, Instagram is irrelevant.
Yeah, it's like how the 25-year-old Instagram user a decade ago thought about Facebook.
Yeah. The thing is that all of the coolest TikTok creators are still on Instagram. That's the biggest difference. They're
everywhere. They're on YouTube too.
Sure. So, but I just think...
Because they need to monetize.
Yeah.
You can't monetize so easily on TikTok.
No. I don't think anyone's making real money on TikTok.
Yeah, they get the brand deals
Maybe the
outside
top 10 people are making a real living. But the amount of people that have insane followings that can't monetize.
The millions of kids that spend hours learning these dances, then recording their dances for no money is crazy to me.
I'll get served like, two guys doing like a hot dance. It's pretty good. And I'll go look. It has like 600 views.
Right. And
you did all that for
think of how many takes it probably took them to master the dance.
Let me tell you something. If you're on TikTok right now and you're getting less than 1,000 views on a video, you're better off going to the 3rd Street Promenade on a Friday night
Panhandle
and just dance. More people will see you at the 3rd Street Promenade, and maybe someone videotaping you has more following. If your goal is just to reach the maximum amount of people, most of you are not going to get it on TikTok. Go to Times Square, 3rd Street Promenade, go to Ocean Drive, Miami, and just start dancing.
And yeah, these kids are trying to dance to Chris Brown. Chris Brown's one of the greatest dancers of all time.
Yeah.
You know how much time that would take to replicate a Chris Brown dance?
They'd rather do that than go show up in an office. Go show up in an office. Yeah. I'm going to learn how to do the hardest dances for the next 2 months because I just cannot go to work.
Quiet quitting, learning Chris Brown dances.
What's interesting is like, if you think about how much effort people put into like these extracurriculars, if you just went and get a job at like a consulting firm and shut up and dribbled, you're a millionaire, probably when you're by your mid-30s.
Yeah. I mean, even the Indian dance, the millions of white kids were doing a Bhangra dance. They've never done Bhangra before. Yeah. So that takes time to understand.
And they're so good at it. Yeah. And so that means you practiced your stuff.
Yeah.
Imagine if it's like,
if it was a bunch of Indian kids, they could replicate that in seconds. Because they've been doing that their whole life. Bhangra dances at weddings for decades, right? Like these kids have not.
Yeah. Insane.
Insane to me.
But be real. What's the plan?
It was so much easier to be an Instagram
just
star.
All you do is Facetune your picture, look a little skinny, and boom, you could be an Instagram star. Yeah, I mean, look, I think, but I do like the idea. I think they should just do it. They're not going to be allowed to buy this company.
That's stupid to me.
Okay, well, I mean, Lena Khan, the head of the FTC, is not allowing Facebook to...
She's pro-Chinese spyware, anti-American tech.
Yes, that is right.
Okay.
That is what they are. I would let Facebook, Microsoft, Google buy anything they want.
I agree. You have to at this point. If you're going to... Or ban TikTok. It's one of the two.
Yeah. I don't think they'll ever get to the point where they ban TikTok. I mean, there's so many people vocal about it, and not one politician. What are the politicians afraid of at this point to even bring it up? Hey, what's going on? You tell me nobody of the 100 senators has brought up, like, hey,
China has banned Facebook,
Google,
and Google. They let iPhones be sold. But 2 of our biggest companies in the world are banned in China, and we're letting a company come here and kick their ass.
Yeah.
And they're owning the data.
Yeah.
You saw the article that they're tracking keystrokes.
Yeah, we talked about it last episode. Yeah. Well, just be real.
Okay.
All right. Big one. Former Twitter employee came out yesterday, whistleblower, saying that there's all kinds of security flaws and lapses in Twitter, and that management, including the CEO, were aware of it, and kind of he or she felt like that they aren't being responsible and reporting this to the public. What a big win for Elon.
Yeah, Elon's trying to wiggle out of this any way he can. He subpoenaed his own friend, Jack Dorsey.
Yeah.
The betting odds are still that he's going to have to go through with this.
He might pay the discount.
Pay the fee. I don't think he wants it.
I mean, his stock's on fire.
This is all a show. He sold $6.5 billion in stock recently. Just pay the $1 billion fine. Walk away from the circus.
Yeah, the $1 billion fine is nothing. He doesn't care about money.
Exactly.
It's an ego blow.
Yeah. But I don't think he ever had intention to buy it. You think he didn't know the bot problem before he lobbed in the offer? Everyone's been talking about the bot problem.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think, though, that this whistleblower does obviously lend itself.
Did Elon find the whistleblower?
Probably.
I mean, he's got private investigators around the world hunting for him.
Of course. I mean, when you have this much money at stake, You're going to do a little homework.
Yeah, I guarantee you his team found this guy and paid him.
And this person was head of Twitter security. And he says misrepresented the number of bots or fake accounts on the platform, which is the
We
premise.
all know that.
Yeah.
We all know it's not 5%.
But this person is now validating it. So I think
because the argument is basically they've falsified filings for years now.
Yeah.
If they knew it was more than 5%.
Yeah.
But if you look under the hood of any public company, we know they don't know anything about their data.
it's impossible. It's too hard. Think about how big these companies are. Do you think, and someone made a comment, if little do people know how big of a house of cards the biggest companies in the world are.
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially the tech companies, the regulators don't even understand the business.
Yeah.
They don't understand how Microsoft makes money.
No.
They probably still think it's Windows.
Probably is. Microsoft Excel is a monster.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, I think really, really big win for Elon. If you're trying to, either
Wiggle.
get a discount or wiggle out of the deal.
He's just going to walk away.
I think if I was him and I'm Elon Musk, get me the discount. It's a proof.
But then it's a company that's probably too big to even fix at this point, the way Elon wants to fix it.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get the credit in 5 years. It's going to be the same company. He doesn't have the time.
I mean, I think he does have the time.
I don't know. It's too much for me. I wish it just disappeared. This story.
Of Elon on Twitter?
Yeah.
I think, not until October. The
What's
trial is in
the
October.
trial. Yeah.
So until the trial happens, we won't really know. All right.
Special Wednesday morning episode.
Special Wednesday morning episode. We will see you back here. Are you gonna? What's the plan for the rest of the week?
We're doing Thursday.
Okay.
Normal time.
Okay, great. And then back on Sunday, and then I'm in New York next week. I think I'm gonna do something. Do a little meetup. I'll send out details.
What days are you there?
I'm there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Sunday red eye, huh?
Red eye. Yeah.
Oof.
I'm a startup guy.
Yeah.
I'm not taking the chairman's flight. The 10 a.m. to New York.
Yeah, missed the whole work day watching movies and drinking wine and having a Sunday.
No, none of that. And even my flight back's at 7 a.m. So yeah, stay tuned to social media.
You must be getting good miles these days.
I have to check. I must be. Well, a lot of flights.
Delta exclusively?
Well, Vegas flights in the last 2 weeks were all Southwest. Those are.
But the New York flights.
By the way, flights on Southwest are back to like normal prices again. My one way back home.
Under 200?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
One way back home yesterday was $54.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Flight wasn't full. $54 is what a flight should be.
Yeah, I agree. That's what it used to be.
Yeah. Awesome. Oh, we have some shout outs. First, big shout out. Maverick's birthday today.
It is.
Happy 4 years old.
Yeah.
And yesterday was Kobe's.
Yesterday was Kobe's.
Big shout out to Peter, a longtime listener of the pod, been down since our first Complex Con episode. On his 40th birthday, same birthday as Kobe Bryant. And they had a big birthday celebration last Saturday, 80s style. And a big shout out to his coworker, Shireen Hill, who are also Kathy's. And thanks for supporting us. Oh, and Peter wrote a lovely message to us, but ended it very strong. I'm sure drama won't be on this episode, but keep inspiring the young Indian males.
Peter doesn't sound like an Indian name.
Why
so
not?
We're not inspiring him, just the young Indian males?
Peter could be an Indian. So Peter Cheney, son of Dick. Happy birthday, Peter, and thanks for all your support over the years. Next shout out. We have a shout out going to Sammy, who's starting a brand new job this week. Your friend whose Instagram handle is CAAYRES. Could be Casey, could be Carrie, could be Kathy. Not too sure. It didn't say the name, but congrats on the new gig and go out and kill it. Apparently we met you guys earlier at the live show.
And don't quiet quit.
Don't quiet quit. Get out there and crush it and head over to work. All right, everyone. We are out. We will see you back here on Thursday. We have a couple more shout outs that we're going to get to tomorrow, but have a great rest of the week.